I'm Jake Aaron Villarreal, born and raised in Silicon Valley, and here to take you behind the scenes to show what it's like to be a startup founder, the journey they're on, the problems they face, and the products they build as they look to transform industries. I'm excited to have with us today Aaron Lee, the founder and CEO of Smith.ai. Aaron, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Excited to be here. Thank you, Jake.
Well, thank you for joining. A little bit more about Smith AI. It's a call answering and intake service for small and solo businesses. They differentiate themselves in many ways, which you can imagine with the AI today. There's a lot of that that goes into not just their platform, but also how they conduct business, which is, by the way, with a human in the loop. So before we get started here, Aaron, where are you calling in from?
I am calling in from the Bay Area. So I live in a small town called Los Altos. It's right next to Mountain View, Palo Alto, which is the heart of the Silicon Valley.
Hundreds of AI startups are launching every month, battling to build their founding teams. As a leader, your job is to get results. When it comes to hiring, that's where it gets tough. So you go out and you try a recruitment firm, but they don't understand your story. They're off target, and when they send you candidates, it's a waste of time. We believe you should never have your time wasted. That's why we launched Match Relevant, because your story is more than just an open role. It's your founder's journey, the problem you're solving, the product you're building, and why it matters. When we work with companies, we make sure we understand your whole story. So when we go out and do a search, we're on target. It's worth their time. They're interested. And more importantly, it's worth yours. And when it comes to hiring engineers, we work to make sure we get it right by deploying a team of seasoned CTOs that have built some of Silicon Valley's best companies. They can collaborate with you in the technical interviewing process. They can be a sounding board, or they can run it for you. When it comes to building teams, there's no time to waste. Let's make it count. If you have a role that needs to be filled, book a time with a hiring guide at matchrelevant.com and learn how we do it. Yes, great place to be. And I know that area very, very well. Well, thanks for joining us here. We're going to dive into Smith AI. But before we do that, give us a little background of your origin story. Kind of where did you start and how did you get into technology and end up at starting your own company?
Absolutely. So I was born and raised in Hong Kong. I did my undergrad in Cambridge. And even when I was an undergrad, I really got fascinated by all the machine learning and AI. I did my undergraduate paper on like optical character recognition, OCR, which is basically given a an image, you have to recognize the characters and the zip code and the postal code in it. And back then, we were running on a small PC, and we were using neural network to train the model, and it took like more than a month to train the model. And now, if you use ChatGPT, you can submit the image, and they will get back to you with the characters in it within a second or two. So that is how much we have gone. After that, I went to Princeton to do my PhD in computer graphics. I also worked with companies like NVIDIA. I was intern there, almost got a job there, but decided that my friends told me, hey, it was a really tiny company. How big was the gaming market? Like you should really join another small startup called Google. So I joined Google back in early 2004 and was one of the first engineer to build Google Video. And later on, I was the monetization lead on YouTube, building all the infrastructure, search, monetization, and left Google in 2008, like end of 2008, like after almost 5 years there, and started my first company called Red Beacon. And that quickly got the funding in 2009, took the top prize at TechCrunch, and it was a marketplace that connect the homeowners with the home improvement professionals. We raised our first round of funding, went to nationwide, got the notice of Home Depot. They knock on our door and say, like, that is exactly the thing that we need to connect our two-sided marketplace. And before you know it, we got acquired by Home Depot in early 2012. And then I got promoted to be the CTO, rolling it out, like the services to all the 2,000 Home Depot stores. And if you go to any of the Home Depot store today, you will see my work there. So
Oh, wow.
stayed there for a few years, again left in 2015, really like tried to scratch my entrepreneur bug and started my second company called Smith AI.
Yeah, that's great. I love that story. I don't know if I heard you correctly. Did you say you were also part of the monetization or the strategy around YouTube?
Yeah, so that was really kind of the transition for me from being an engineer in training. So I spent a lot of time writing code, building like scalable systems. And back then, Like when we first built the Google video, we were ingesting terabytes of data every day. And now it seems like a small amount, but back in the early days, like almost like 20 years ago, that was really some of the most groundbreaking approach. And as I continue on from engineering to monetization, I get exposed to more kind of like I call the advertising side or the commercial side of the business. And that really got me start going into like engineering to product to business to sales and marketing.
Wow. I like that transformation because as a founder, you don't always have access to get experience in all those
Mhm.
areas. You
Yeah.
start with what you know and you grow. And then when you get invited to or you get promoted into an opportunity where you can learn something new and different, that's really where the transformation starts. And where that goes, we're never sure. But to be a startup founder, you have to understand first and foremost, am I solving a problem? And if
Hmm.
I'm solving a problem, is it valuable enough for someone to pay for it? And then if it is, you have everything else in line to do, which is, go out and build the product, find the market, hire a team, get funding, all those things that go into it. But really excited to see that you've got that track record of success and being the CTO at Home Depot. Before we start talking about your company here, what was that like going from a Google, a big company, then starting your own company, growing that, going from small, then back to big? What was it like working at Home Depot, and what did you take from that before you left?
Yeah, I mean, Home Depot was a really fascinating experience if you think about like working from Google, which is a very, very much like technology focused company, right? Building technology to serve billions of people, to forming my own startup, which is a tiny team. Like you have to like like work a lot less with a lot less resources to deliver a lot more to where Home Depot, where they have both the marketing channels, the brand awareness, and the distribution, kind of like the 2000 stores and the two-sided marketplace. Now, the biggest difference is like Home Depot was not really a technology company, but more like a big box retailer. So the business and the marketing is their strong suit, right? They have the branding, people recognize it. So when we call and build our kind of the two-sided marketplace, like both the providers and the consumers, like people recognize the name. Like you don't need to explain to people what is Home Depot, right?
Yeah.
And people just get it. They already have the trust in the brand. So when you combine that with the technology, like the scale is just so much faster. I don't think we could have done it with the venture money in within the same time because like there's only so much the money can buy, but you cannot buy the brand name. You cannot buy the like the Home Depot brand. You cannot buy the recognition. You cannot buy the distribution channels of like 2000 stores. Like immediately when we turn it on, like it just go live, right? I mean, it just go live nationwide.
Yeah, that's amazing. Well, you got that good experience there, and you left, and you've got Smith AI. You've raised 10 plus million. You've got, hundreds of employees. Talk us through the problem you're solving at Smith AI. I think it's fascinating.
Yeah, it's really something that like we started early on, like when I was at Home Depot. I was interacting with the pros, like Home Depot call them the pros, meaning these are the small medium business owners who basically either running it as a solopreneur, or they have like husband and wife team, or they have a small team of like 15 to 20 people, and they have no time, right? Because everyone is wearing multiple hats. They have no money because they're not like some of the big corporations that have like millions of like revenue. They're really small business that power the economy of like the country, and they have no technical expertise, right? They don't understand machine learning. They don't understand like AI, and these are the people that still they need to answer the questions or calls from customers. So every day when people call them or text them, they're just too busy, right? They could be on the road, they could be up at the attic or like down at the crawl space. They don't have the time, they don't have the money. So when people call them, a lot of the times they miss the call, and they thought, oh, they will just leave a voicemail when I get home like later tonight. I will get back to them, and they never do, right? So it's a huge missed opportunity. And they even came to Home Depot, like to me, and say, hey, I know Home Depot has a huge call center. Can you answer the calls and the text for me? And we said, we can't do that because it's designed for the corporate use. We cannot overload the Home Depot call center with the customer call center. And that is when I know there's a huge opportunity there. Now, at the same time, being a technologist, I also know that there's got to be something that we can do so that we can offer things that are faster, better, and cheaper. And as I was talking to my friends at Google, like there was a huge AI development at Google. And I thought, well, it would just take a few years for the AI to become a commonplace. Like, remember, that was back in 2015. And that was also the same year that OpenAI started. And we thought, oh, I mean, it shouldn't take too long, right? Technology is moving fast, right? Like, I'm the optimist. And we were too early. Like, we were literally like being at the very, very cutting edge at the front center. And over the past, like I would say 8 or 9 years, we become like kind of the expert in understanding voice and voice AI and omni-channel, whether it's voice and chat, Facebook or SMS. So that is how the company started to form. But in the early years of the company, like we are building our own technology, we're building our own platform to basically solve one single question, which is how can we have a perfect conversation on behalf of our clients so that we can convert their callers into customers.
Yeah, wow. That's amazing. So the focus out of the gate was really for these people doing work on homes or landscaping or whatever their
Mhm.
manual labor was, where they didn't have access to get on a call, respond to a text, or even respond to an email real time. And you're kind of filling the gap or the void where that call comes in and there's a conversion to a lead to a booked call
Mhm.
or potentially even immediate revenue.
Absolutely. I think like phone calls is one of the most underrated kind of like channel that people thought because we say, oh, nowadays who use phone call? Actually, if you think about it, for someone who is giving you 5 minutes of undivided attention, calling you because they have a project in mind, they have a problem that they want to solve, that conversion is like 10 times higher than a chat on your website because like people browse website all the time. I have like many tabs on my Chrome, right? I mean, you don't really pay attention to those chats, and that's why chat is very low engagement. But you just want
Yeah.
to like get some information. But for someone to call into your business, that is a huge, huge opportunity. And for someone who's not picking up the call, or for someone who can call back in a day or two, you already lost that customer or the potential customer. I think that is the part where we have been trying to tell our clients, like, don't miss any one of your calls. Because if you miss one of them, like you're leaving a lot of money on the table.
Yeah. Why is this space important to you?
I think it's because like me, I've been serving SMB for the past decade. We believe that's the most underserved community. It's a very, very huge opportunity in US alone. There's about 30 million SMB, and they just don't have the help that the I call the Fortune 1000 companies have. They have no dedicated team. They don't understand the technology well enough. Like even if you tell them like ChatGPT or the AI is the future, they wouldn't know how to take advantage of that, right? So we believe that we could be the layer that can help them to focus on what they do best and bridge the gap between the technology and like the understanding of the advantage of the AI to the next level. So I think that is hugely important to me and my team. Like, how can we help these people who's like really working hard and they don't have access to the technology or they don't even know how to deploy them to be able to be competing with the large corporations?
Yeah. Well, AI is prevalent in almost every sector currently, and it's
Mhm.
growing. I think the number is like 1,500 AI companies are launching a week currently, which is pretty fascinating. When you think about your technology, there is a human aspect of it as well. So
Mhm.
it's not just set it and forget it. Here's AI, it's going to automate everything.
Yeah.
You actually have real people involved in your service. Walk us through the service or the product so the listeners understand exactly how it works.
Yeah. So basically, we answer any inbound or outbound calls. We also handle chat and SMS and Facebook, but the majority of the traffic is coming from the inbound phone calls. When the call comes in, we have two products. Number one is we have the human answer the call every single time, and we have AI to assist our agent. So think about AI as the co-pilot. So the AI will tell our agent what to say, what questions to ask, how to qualify the caller. At the end of the call, they write up the call summary, right? So that has been the product that we've been running for the past like 8-9 years. Now we have a new product, which is like it's still in early beta. We call it the voice assistant. So basically, it's an AI first product where the AI is talking to the callers, right? They're asking the questions, they're collecting the information, gathering your name, your email, your phone number, your contact info, understanding what project you're looking for, and qualify it. At the end of the call, we always like transfer the call to the human agent for two reasons. Number one, we believe the conversion will significantly increase by human touch. Like meaning maybe you're on the fence, maybe after talking to the AI, you still have some questions, right? A human touch is the best way to book an appointment and convert the caller into a potential customer. Number two, as opposed to many people's belief that AI is working for every aspect and it's like working flawlessly, what we notice is sometimes they hallucinate, meaning they don't know what to say. They start making things up. Sometimes they collect the wrong information, not because they are wrong, but because in the traditional phone calls, the voice quality due to the reception, due to the area, it may not be the best. So you have the background noise, you have the caller accent, you have like maybe like there's like the reception area in your mobile network may not be the greatest. That is where the human comes in. Like the human comes in to make sure that all the data that the AI collected is correct and we're able to convert them. So that's why we believe like whether you prefer a human voice as the first interaction or you want to be on the cutting edge that you want to try the AI solution, both of them we believe is much better and enhanced by human in the loop. And that's why we believe at the current stage, which is still the early stage of AI development, having the human in the loop is still the best experience to both our customers and their customers.
Yeah. It's great when you have a product and a service that really solves a problem. There's always a question of how do you defend against the competition? What's the moat? What's your strategy been around staying in the market, innovating, but also staying ahead of the competition?
Yeah, I think they're twofold, right? I think the everyone have access to like the foundation model, like the OpenAI or the Claude from Anthropic and other models. And the at the end of the day, it's really about the outcome. Like, can you deliver the outcome? It's not so much about the technology, right? Every time when we like explain our product to our SMB and the business owners, they always care about, will my customers get the best experience? Will I be able to convert them? So it's not so much about like the competition, whether they have access to knows how to make the API call. It's about how do we construct that conversation design? How do you have the human touch so that people feel like, oh, I'm comfortable of doing it because like we know that like they understand my need, they collect all the right information, and that's how we differentiate from the market. And like you said, there's a 1,500 AI startup spawning like every week, right? Everyone have like almost like the same access to the underlying technology. But if you think about the experience that we have like collected over the past like decade, really understanding how to conduct a perfect conversation is not something that AI can just learn in a day or two. I don't think that's the case. I think that's like the number one thing is the domain expertise. Number two is the human touch. We still believe that AI has a way to go. Maybe they are 70% here, maybe they're 80% now, but the 20% is so important because imagine if you run a small business, if the AI got it wrong 2 out of 10 times, and that 2 times happens to be one of your biggest customers, like you just want to, you just cannot, it's unacceptable. Our goal, if you look at our like metrics that we are measuring ourselves against, we look at the correctness, and our correctness is 99.7%. We almost don't make mistakes. Now, how do we know that? So we actually have another AI to listen to our calls. So the AI will actually monitor if the AI is doing the right thing or if our human agents are doing the right thing.
Wow, that's really cool. AI is monitoring AI. God, what's the world going to look like in 10 years next year?
Yeah.
Really
Yeah. I would
cool.
say next year, not so much about 10
Yeah,
years. Who knows about
next
10
year.
years? But
Who ultimately is benefiting if you guys succeed at the level that you're striving to succeed?
yeah, I believe today we are serving the customers that really care about the customer interactions. And typically they fall into three types of categories. Number one is like the transaction value is like really high tickets, right? It could be um, a remodeling of your home. It could be a general contractor. It could be interior designer. Um, that's one category. Another category is we call the lifetime value. If you think about dentists, right, the medical professionals, like you may want to go clean your teeth, you spend a few $100s, but if you find the right dentist, you will stay with the dentist for a very long time. So the lifetime value of the customer is worth a lot more than one single transaction. That's another type of the customers that we really serve. The last one we call it like time is money, like the lawyers, right? Like the time is so important, they charge you by like billable minutes, so they don't want to spend the time to answer the phone, right? And if they were to hire someone, they need to hire someone 24/7. That's also like cost prohibitive. So if you think about these set of the customers, they are the ideal customer profile for Smith AI. But it shouldn't stop at that, right? If you think about like expanding our circle, like a restaurant owners, a small business, anyone that people will call in using the phone would be our customers. Now, today, they might say, well, I may not be able to afford that because I have a lot of calls and most of them are spam and all this stuff. And we already solved that problem. We basically say we have our AI to filter out the spam callers. So we don't even charge them. Like they would not, they don't even pay for the spam calls or the wrong numbers or the sales calls. So we filter them out. But there's still a very large customers of segment of the customers that could benefit from I call it AI solution that is like a little bit cheaper, very effective, may not be as best as like a human, like on the phone all the times, but they will still solve the need. So if our vision, if we are executing it correctly, which we believe we are, then we will benefit every single business in the whole world. So that is the holy grail that we're trying to solve.
Yeah. Wow. Big aspirations. I like it. Every company goes through shifts and pivots. You've been in business now for 9, 10 years. What's one of the bigger pivots or shifts you've gone through that you look back at that you could share that hopefully maybe someone will learn from your experience that worked for you in that change?
Yeah, so we've been, as you probably know, over the past like 9 or 10 years, we launched like different products. So one of the product that we launched like earlier was called Keypad, which is a replacement to Ring Central or Grasshopper or Dialpad or the VoIP providers. We believe because we know the voice so well that we should be able to come up with a product that is so easy to use and so affordable. So we launched the product, right? We believe we could bridge the gap because now you don't need to go to Ring Central or you don't need to go to like Dialpad or like Google Voice. It's like one single solution that we handle all your calls, whether you want to answer your call or whether you want us to answer your call. And that turns out to be a mistake because like the market exists, right? I mean, there's already very good products on the market. And for us to come out to compete with them that they have been around for like more than a decade is not ideal. So after we did that, after we learned the mistake, we say we should really focus on what we do best, which is when a call comes in, how can we best handle that call to the perfection so that the business owner will say, wow, you guys can handle the call better than me, right? You're handling it day in, day out, 24/7, every single call. We don't miss the call. We handle it well. Every legitimate and qualified caller, we will convert them into a customer. So we kind of like started from like, hey, can we do more? To say, why don't we do less and become the best? That was really one of the biggest lessons that we learned. Instead of saying, let's launch many different products, can we launch something that's so good that people say, you guys are the best. Like, there's no reason why I want to use another product.
Yeah. That's amazing. Yeah. Simplifying keeps you focused. And if you execute on what you're focusing on, many times it can be much bigger than trying to do it all. So I really appreciate that. I'm sure someone's going to hear that and learn from that lesson. What's the biggest challenge? We're midway through 2024 that you're looking at currently as you continue to grow your company.
I think it's both like on the technology side and on the customer adoption, right? Voice AI is a very fairly new technology, right? I mean, every day we're still solving a lot of the problems from like latency and the correctness and to the uh, AI responses to human handoff. All these are the problems that we have to solve because we're the first impression of the business, right? When people call in the number, we answer their calls. So we have to do a much better job to make sure every call is being handled correctly. So that is the number one thing, right? Which is how can we take advantage of the cutting edge technology and deploy it at scale? That is really, really challenging. So that's number one. Number two, how can we get this message across to the customers, right? I'm sure everyone is interested in AI, everyone want to learn about it. But to go from like, I'm interested to say, like, can we deploy this for my business? That is a big leap of faith, right? We have so much to do and to prove to earn their trust. That's another thing, right? So we are in this like transition period where we are transforming the company from a kind of like human agents answer the phone calls every single time to AI doing most of the heavy lifting, and we only hand it off to the human agent when there's a problem or when there's a conversion event that happened. So I think that transformation will take a little bit longer time, and both the product and the tech has to work really well. And on the marketing side, right, we have to convey that very complicated like product to something so easy for people to understand. I think these are the two biggest challenges for us in 2024.
Yeah. That's great to hear. As a company, you try and make your product simple to use and easy to access.
Mm.
And if you do that, you take out the friction of someone wanting to use your product or buy your product. What's the game plan if someone wants to try your product? How easy is it to get started? And how fast can they expect to have your system turn on and you're taking calls for them?
Yeah, absolutely. So today, if you come to like Smith.ai, the homepage, like there's a front and center, there's a call to action that you can sign up for the voice assistant product. So once we sign up, you provide some information to us, then we can actually onboard you. And within a day or two, like we can have the system up and running. Now, as you said, the friction is the biggest challenge for people to use the product. So we do not assume the business owners to understand AI. We don't assume that they know how to do prompt engineering, which is a lot of the current products today on the market they do. They assume people who understand prompts, they know how to write the prompts, they know how to perfect the prompt. No, we don't assume any of that. You just come in, you tell us what your business does, how do you want us to handle the call. We take that very high level, I call it natural language, and we convert it into what AI understands so that we can produce the same perfect call handling on every single time. So the sign up is very easy. You go into the website, you click the button, you put in your name, your contact info, and we'll set up a call and we'll understand what you need. And we'll take that information, we'll turn it into something that the AI can understand. And within a few days, you can put up the number, you can forward the calls to us, or you can ask your friends and family to test it. It's really simple.
Wow. I love that. Well, you're talking to someone who might be a customer soon.
Absolutely, because like a lot of the times, like people learn, like before they even see the benefit, they have to learn how to use the product. And the learning path and the learning curve is so steep that people say, I don't know what is not working. I did the prompt, it was working yesterday, and now it doesn't work. So what do I do? Right? It becomes a black box. Right? That's number one thing. Number two, as I keep saying, we need to have some monitoring mechanism to make sure that the AI is doing the right thing. Otherwise, what if the AI mishandle your call? Right? You have to know ahead of time. So that is what we really want to provide a turnkey solution so that our business clients they don't need to learn all this advanced technology. They just like, I call it walk up and use. They just walk up, tell us what they need, and they have a product that they can depend on.
Yeah, that's great. So for companies based in the US or Canada or
Hmm.
North America, let's say, and they wanted to use your service, sometimes the question isn't about can you do the job? It's specifically if there's humans in the loop, it's where are they located and is
Right.
the communication going to be at the level that we need? And we want it to be authentic. We also want
Mhm.
it sometimes to be, you know, in a language that's our own language, accent
Yep.
that's our own accent. Where is your team? Where is your company located here?
Yeah. So all the agents are in North America, so we understand that we don't do the offshoring, because we understand the key for the people. It's not just about the language, but also the accent, the cultural understanding, and all this. So that's number one. That's why we only hire the agents in North America. Number two, we do support two language. One is English, of course. The other one is Spanish, because we noticed that a lot of the people, when they call in, they actually only speak Spanish. So, I mean, if you don't have someone who can speak the language, they will almost hang up right away because they just do not understand. So we believe having someone who is bilingual is so important, especially like when we talk about immigration, when we talk about like the immigration lawyers that we serve a lot in Texas. Like a lot of the customers when they call in, they they just don't speak English. They only speak Spanish. So you want to make sure that like whether it's AI or human, they have to speak their language. Like you have to meet where the customer need.
Yeah, that's perfect. That's really valuable too. Just so you know how you compete against your competition. And,
Yeah,
it's one thing to look at saving costs on labor, but it's another actually serving your customer how they want it to be served. And I think that if you combine that, or at least the latter aspect of that, I
yeah.
think you're going to win a lot of customers. I think it's critically important, especially for communication from what we've seen and what the products we've used.
Exactly. I mean, like I wouldn't say our product is for everyone because there's certain people who say, look, I just cannot afford to pay that kind of money. I can only afford to pay $1 per call. And that means they probably need to outsource that to like Philippines or other countries that have a lower labor cost. But you get what you pay for, so you get a lower quality. Like sometimes you miss the call, sometimes you don't handle the call well. Now, if your transaction value is small, then you may not you may be fine. But if you're talking about the customer that could be worth $1,000 to you, then you don't really want to take the chance. Like we have seen so many customers who say, Smith AI, we love you guys, but you guys are not cheap. And then they switch to another cheaper provider. They came back to us after a few months. They said, that's just not worth the saving a few $100s because we're losing so many opportunities. So they always came back to us.
Well, as we end here, let's just share with the audience pricing. Like, what can you really expect? Say you were just a one person, one man show, maybe doing
Yeah,
construction or landscaping, whatever you do, and you want to try the service. What are they looking at cost wise?
yeah. So the average cost is about like depending on the call volume, right? As you have more call volume, like the price will go down from like $7 or $8 down to like maybe $5 to $6. Like that is the cost that you're thinking about. Now, we do not charge per minute. We charge per call. So your call could be 5 minutes, your call could be 10 minutes. It doesn't matter because like we handle so many calls. So if you take the average, like we can afford to absorb the different call duration. But at the end of the day, we want to provide a very predictable pricing model to our customers. Meaning, if you know that you have like 10 calls per day, then that is like 200 calls per month, assuming 20 like business days. Now, we do not charge for spam calls, wrong numbers, sales calls, and any one of that. So we want to make sure that every call they call in, they are the legitimate, you are paying for the work that we did for you and it's like capped to a certain amount, which is like there's no surprises when you see the bill. Like you wouldn't say, oh, like this month I have to pay a lot more because there's some very chatty customers, right? We want to make sure the bill is very predictable. So that's one thing. Another thing is like we don't have a contract, so it's month to month. So if you have more calls in this month, you pay a little bit more. If you have fewer calls, you can downgrade your plan and you pay less.
Yeah, got it. Well, that's really fascinating. If anybody wants to find out more about the company, your service, the pricing, or just connect with you, where do they go?
Well, I mean, the easiest way is go to Smith.ai, and there are two buttons. You can either like get started, and that will you can enter the information. We'll set up the onboarding with you, and really like understanding your business, because that is the most important thing. Another thing is like you can also learn more. You can talk to our sales team. Like there's no like you don't need to like you don't commit to anything. You just talk to someone, spend like 15-20 minutes to really understand if this is something that you need. And a lot of the times when people call us, they are already missing a lot of costs. They know that. They know that they're leaving a lot of money on the table. So it's a very easy discussion to say, okay, like this is how much that we will charge on a monthly basis. This is how many costs that you're getting. These are the benefits, right? If you pay, let's say $500, we want we want the business to bring in at $5,000 of client. We want ROI to be so like no brainer that people say, yeah, of course, I want to use Smith AI because it's so obvious. So I think that is the part of the discussion. And once you have that, within a day or two, we'll get your number set up. We'll set up your call handling instructions, and then you'll be done. Right? It's very, very simple and straightforward process. And we've done it like for the past like decades. So I can almost with a high confidence that we can answer the call better than most of the business owners, because that's what we do. Like we've
Yeah.
answered like more than 10 million calls. Like it's a very, very large amount of calls. We have handled business from lawyers to dentists to like home services providers to medical and wellness, and like really run the gamut, like from any kind of business. We serve solopreneur. We serve like nationwide like franchise operators. So like yeah, it's not just for the smaller guys that we solve. We also handle like law firms with like multiple offices. So it's a really, really interesting and cost-effective solution.
Yeah. Well, I love it. As we wrap up here, you've gone out,
Yeah,
you've raised $10 million, you've done 10 million calls, you came from Google, you were the CTO at Home Depot. You've really got a great transformation in your story and also innovation in what you're delivering to the market today. So, really excited to continue the process with you in the future, find out how things go as you grow, and see how things are as you get through the next phase of AI, which is, again, penetrating everywhere.
yeah,
So thanks so much for coming on here today. I really appreciate your time, Aaron, and I also appreciate the time of the listeners listening to us. It means a lot to me. I'm your host, Jake Aaron Villarreal, signing off for now, but can't wait to catch up with you all in the next episode. Until then, take care. If you like what we're doing, don't forget to subscribe. Leave a review on Apple Podcasts or wherever you listen. And follow us on YouTube, where we go behind the scenes to learn what it takes to be a startup founder.